Affairs presentation of the Metro Nashville Network. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pat Nolan, your announcer for this program. Tonight, the 15th Metropolitan Council holds its sixth business meeting of this new term. It will also be the last meeting of calendar year 2019. The meeting has a 12-page agenda for tonight, about 1 page of elections and confirmations for the council, about 2 pages of resolutions, 1 page of first reading bills, 2.5 pages of second reading bills, and about 5.5 pages of bills on third and final reading. In perhaps what will be its major action of the evening, the council will consider resolution number RS 2019-130. It appropriates about $7.5 million, a little more than that, from the undesignated fund balance of the general purpose school fund. It will go to schools to fund a mid-year 3% cost of living pay raise for Metropolitan Nashville school teachers and the support staff. This pay raise was proposed originally by former Mayor David Briley during the summer mayoral campaign. Mayor John Cooper, then candidate Cooper, criticized the timing of giving a raise like that during the campaign, but he now supports doing it, and the council will likely approve the funds tonight. The bill on second reading also tonight is bill number 2019-95. The ordinance amend the Metropolitan Code of Laws to require changing tables in buildings with public restrooms. Public restrooms will be required to have at least 1 diaper changing station per floor if located with a family, assisted, or a unisex bathroom, or 1 per sex per floor if located in separate sex bathrooms. Legislation would require would not require retrofitting any current buildings. However, any newly constructed public bathrooms and public, that would be altered if they were going to alter a public restroom. It would require a building permit. If that was required, then it would be required to install the diaper changing station. By the way, the Metro General Services estimated the cost to install a diaper changing station to be about $850 per station, at least in Metro facilities. There are several other bills before the council tonight that would increase its oversight over Metro departments as well as over services and expenditures. On third reading, there's a bill number 2019-46. This ordinance amends the Metro Code to require Metro Water Services to submit annual reports to the Metropolitan Council regarding both the water and sewer divisions. The report would include at a minimum the audited financial statements, including net position, capital assets, outstanding bonds payable, and other financial information. The annual budget review would also be included, including the adequacy of budgeted revenues to cover projected expenses and debt requirements. It will also require any other information deemed relevant by the finance director and upon request of the council's public works and finance committees. Further, the ordinance also further requires that the director of the water and sewer department personally appear before the council on a joint meeting of both the council's public works and the budget and finance committee to discuss the annual report. As the bill's also been amended, it would also require semi-annual reports in June and December of 2020 and 2021, summarize the status of implementing the recent multi-year water sewer rate increase that this council approved just a couple of meetings ago, to make sure that it's going as the council would like to see it go forward. Also on third reading is bill number 2019-74. In the wake of a controversy this past fall, this ordinance requires the Metropolitan Social Services Agency to adopt an annual plan detailing what will happen with overflow shelters for the homeless population in Nashville during cold weather. This plan must include an assessment of the projected needs in the coming year, an analysis and recommendations of Metro's response, and whether current funding meets that need. The plan would also be required to be submitted to the council no later than May 31st of each year. The problem this year was the plan did not seem to be there, and people were unsure about the funding for a while, right at the beginning of the transition administrations. In another area of council oversight tonight, there is bill number 2019-77. This ordinance is on third and final reading. It amends the code to require disclosure of full cost implementations when submissions of capital expenditure authorization legislation to the Metro Council. The purpose of this ordinance is to provide clarity regarding the total cost of capital projects to the council so they know whether sufficient funds are being appropriated. This has been a problem, it appears, with some projects that were approved by the council, only to find out the numbers that were there in terms of what it was going to be in terms of being able to fund it did not appear to be the same as reality when they were starting to build it. Also tonight, or since the last council meeting, there has been a meeting where the finance director came here and outlined how Metro was going to take care of a $40 million deficit in its operating budget. The state was talking about perhaps using its powers to take over Metro's funding, Metro's checkbook. That's probably not going to happen at this case. The plan outline primarily looks for a number of funds, particularly some of the in lieu of tax payments coming from some agencies, to be increased higher than what has been projected. Also, there's a $5 million impoundment of funds that are going to be used for grants by the Barnes Fund for affordable housing projects. That particular impoundment has raised the ire of some community groups and also from some members of the council. In fact, the community group NOAA was here tonight with a protest at the council meeting, basically wanting that money, that $5 million, restored. There's nothing on the council agenda directly to deal with that tonight. There will maybe a late resolution offered by Council Member Freddie O'Connell to deal with some of that to see what happens. But again, if there are more than 2 objections, the council can't deal with that tonight. Also, Mayor Cooper issued a statement about the meeting tonight by NOAA, the protest, saying basically that he's a very strong supporter of affordable housing, hopes there can be more money for the Barnes Fund before the end of the year. But at this point, the city, he said, cannot write a check for money it doesn't have. And we're in a situation where if he had to restore the Barnes Funds right now, it would mean cutting either layoffs or having vital city services cut. By the way, the council tonight will also approve a resolution honoring the life of the late Bill Whitson, a longtime former Metro Water Services and Purchasing Director, as well as a top state official. He passed away recently at the age of 90. The resolution is resolution number RS 2019-138. By the way, if you want to follow tonight's meeting as it progresses, you can find the council agenda online as well as the council staff analysis, along with explanations of the legislation. Just go to the Metro Council portion of the Nashville government website and the legislature, and go then to the Legislative Information Center. We'll also be placing the bill numbers on the screen when they come up for debate so you can follow along and keep up with what's going on in tonight's meeting agenda. Let's go now to Vice Mayor Jim Shulman. He's about to gavel tonight's meeting to order.
Okay, there you go. So will the meeting please come to order? We welcome you to the Metro Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 17th, 2019. It is the last meeting of the year, right before the holidays, and someone just reminded me this is the last meeting of the decade. So will all members of the council, as well as the public, please rise for the invocation, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Invocation this evening will be offered by Rabbi Joshua Kulik, guest of Council Member Zolfat Sawara.
Our God and God of our ancestors, grant us the will to translate your calling to social justice, liberty, and equality into concrete actions for all. May each one of us fulfill our responsibilities with care, with generosity and gratitude, in freedom and mutual understanding. At this time, we ask you to bless our public servants. May they have the strength to complete their tasks with integrity, and may they find the ways to provide for those who are suffering the most in our midst. May our elected officials lead this city with wisdom and with compassion. Fill them with your love and bless them with the ability to walk on the paths of peace and righteousness. Inspire them to find worthy solutions to the many challenges ahead, so that Nashville will shine with its best light, becoming a beacon of hope and a wonderful example to be followed by other cities in this nation. Baruch atah Adonai shomea tfilah. Blessed are you, God, who hears our prayers. And let us say, Amen. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You all may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would join me in thanking Mr. Elliot Mangano, the son of Emily and Matt Mangano. Elliot is 8 years old, and he is the guest of Council Members Sledge and Druffel, and he has a mighty good swing with that right arm. Thank you, Elliot. Congratulations, and then you can come on back. Okay, get it? So before we get into any other announcements, we'll say that Nashville this week lost one of its most distinguished citizens last Saturday evening. Carrie Gentry was a civil rights activist, a political icon in this community, a community leader, an educator. She died at the age of 95. She was one of this city's shining stars, and she was the city's friend. We are going to miss Miss Gentry. We are going to miss her very much. So if you would please join me in rising for a moment of silence. Thank you. So without objection, we will suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of those members present throughout the meeting. There is a memorandum on your desk reflecting several corrections to the minutes which were sent originally to you. The memo was also sent to you by email. Those corrections have been made in the minutes that we are getting ready to adopt. Unless there's any objection, is there a motion for adoption of the minutes of the meeting from December 3rd, 2019? Okay, it's properly made, properly seconded. Without objection, minutes of the meeting will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor? Okay, no messages from the mayor. The mayor was here a few minutes ago. I'm looking. There he is. I couldn't see him. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mayor John Cooper, who is now sitting in the back with the public. Thank you, Mayor, for being here. I notice the mayor is not wearing any festive clothing, and I'm noticing some of the members of the council are not wearing very festive clothing. This was just the only outfit I had that was clean in my closet, so that's why I decided to wear it. Before we get to elections and confirmations, I need to formally announce tonight that there are 2 vacancies on the Community Oversight Board. There is a memorandum on your desk detailing the process. We're going to make sure that we go through this. Councilmember Mendez, do you have a question? There you go. Oh, okay. All right, you got it. Let me go through this, and then we'll go back. Do we have another set of minutes we have to take care of? Okay. All right. So if you will check your memo on your desk, notice of board vacancies, Community Oversight Board. I'm just going to go through the highlights of it to make sure that we have it right. If you have any questions, please hit your button. So if you remember, on November 6, 2018, the registered voters of Nashville and Davidson County duly adopted Amendment Number 1 to the Metropolitan Charter, establishing a Community Oversight Board. It's now codified in Chapter 11.13 of the Metropolitan Charter. Community Oversight Board consists of 11 members who are selected from 3 categories. We are only filling 2 vacancies at this time. If you can read further, it explains exactly how the board is set up. Today is December the 17th, 2019. we're making the formal announcement of the vacancies. The 2 board members that are to be appointed are from the category that must be nominated by either A, a community organization, or B, a private petition signed by 50 residents of Davidson County. Members of the board must be registered voters pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 38-8-312. Again, the 2 board members to be appointed are from the category that must be nominated by either A, the community organization, or B, a private petition signed by 50 residents of Davidson County. The deadline for submission of nominee forms to the Metropolitan Clerk is January 7th, 2020. Again, January 7th, 2020. That's when all nominees have to be in to the clerk's office. All nominations must be filed on the nomination form, which will be available at the Metropolitan Clerk's office. There is also a web link that you can go to. If you go to nashville.gov, go to Government Boards and Committees, you will find the information about the Community Oversight Board there. Alternative versions of this form, as we did last time we went through this process, such as handwritten versions, should not be used. Please get the right nomination form. All completed nomination forms must be physically delivered in person or by U.S. mail so as to be received by and filed with the Metropolitan Clerk's office no later than 4:30 p.m. on January 7th, 2020. They must be in no later than 4:30 p.m. January 7th, 2020. Received nominations will be read into the record at the regular council meeting of January 7th, 2020. So we'll get them in at 4:30. We will make the announcements of who has submitted a nomination. They will be read into the record at that council meeting. So all nominees that are received by the January 7th, 2020 deadline must submit a completed questionnaire with the Metropolitan Clerk's office no later than January 14th, 2020 at noon. That questionnaire will be given out by the Metropolitan Clerk. Any nominee who fails to file a timely completed questionnaire shall be deemed to have withdrawn their name from nomination. All nominees that must appear before the Metropolitan Council's Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee on Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. That are people who have been nominated and who have timely completed their questionnaire. Again, they will appear before the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee on Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. At that meeting, upon receipt of recommendations regarding each nominee from the Metro Council's Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee, the full Metropolitan Council shall elect and confirm 2 board members by majority vote at the regular council meeting of January 21st, 2020. So you have your memo on the desk. If you remember, we went through this process, the members who are returning, we went through this process last time where we selected a number. There were actually, I believe, 9 that we selected from the council, 7 representatives from community organizations and private petition, and 2 members that were nominated by council representatives. The mayor also has 2 persons that they can nominate, that he can nominate as well. The process last time was new and different. We had many, many nominations. We had a very long process that we went through, and then we came out with our nominations. This time we're only selecting 2. So as we said last time we went through this process, we may have to change the process towards the end if we have a whole number of nominees that come through, and we will let you know. But at this point, this is the process that we will use. This information, Madam Clerk, I assume will be available on the website, correct?
Yes, the forms are already available on the website.
Forms are already available on the website. We follow these rules very strictly. These deadlines are set. And so if you're interested, follow the rules. If there are any questions, if you can call the clerk's office, that would be fine. That number is 615-862-6770. 615-862-6770. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you identify what 2 vacancies are available?
Yeah. I certainly can.
And if one of those vacancies is an existing member, would they have to reapply and go through the full processes they did on last year?
So there are 2 positions that will become vacant If you remember, everybody was brought in at the same time. The board itself then figured out how to stagger their terms. They were responsible for doing that. So two people, I think, ended up with one-year terms. There were a couple that ended up with two-year terms and a couple that ended up with three-year terms. They figured out a way themselves to do that. We have two members that got the one-year term, so those are the positions that are open. I think there also may be one position maybe from the mayor's office that's open as well, because I believe Mr. Bob Cooper, who is now legal director for Metro, was that, so that has to be replaced, but that was an appointment by the mayor's office, by the mayor. Okay, and there's one term expiring from the mayor's office, so that's why the mayor will pick one of the three. That's his choice. The other two are selected by the council. Now, here are the two individuals that are coming off. The folks that currently hold the two seats are Ashley Davis, who currently serves as chairman of the board, and Emmett Turner, who is also a representative selected by the council. It is my understanding, and I'll look to Mr. Cooper just for confirmation, but they will have to go through the same process that they went through last time. Is that correct?
Correct.
So even though they can run for reappointment, they will have to go through this same process. Okay? Thank you, council member. Anybody else with questions? All right, if there are questions, again, please call the clerk's office. This information is very important. Please make sure it's followed. The nomination process for this position is very important, and so the deadlines are important as well and must be followed. Okay, Councilmember Mendes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move to amend the minutes from the June 18, 2019 meeting with a brief explanation.
All right, so I've got a motion to amend a previous set of minutes, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation.
Thank you. So recently I was looking up the minutes from the operating budget, and I found them confusing. It made it seem like the council had adopted Council Lady Virtue's substitute ordinance, and then it also read like we adopted the original proposed operating budget, and neither one seemed right. So I checked with Council Director Cooper, and he suggested these amendments to clarify, to make sure that time records that there was not a budget adopted by the council last summer. So that's what these amendments accomplish.
Okay, so you've heard the motion. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, so we are now ready for elections and confirmations. Councilmember Rosenberg, looking for a report from the Rules Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. First up was the Convention Center Authority, the appointment of Mr. Robert Davidson, the appointment of Mr. Barrett Hobbs, and the reappointment of Ms. Vonda McDaniel, all for terms expiring September 30th, 2023. We voted to, Rules Committee voted to approve them, 8 in favor, none against, and I move for their approval.
Okay, so I've got a motion to approve Mr. Robert Davidson, Mr. Barrett Hobbs, and Ms. Vonda McDaniel for terms on the Convention Center Authority. Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Hospital Authority, we had the appointment of Ms. Denise Harris-Sadler for a term expiring July 11th, 2024. Ms. Sadler will fill the unexpired term of Dr. Loretta Bond. The Rules Committee voted to approve the appointment, 7 in favor, none against, and I move approval.
Okay, so thank you, Councilmember Rosenberg. We have a motion to approve Ms. Denise Harris-Sadler for a term on the Hospital Authority, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Sexually Oriented Business Licensing Board, we had the reappointment of Mr. Jonathan Richardson and the appointment of Mr. Lauren Joel Russell II, both for terms expiring October 10th, 2023. Rules Committee voted to approve, 6 in favor, none against, and I move approval.
So the motion is to approve the reappointment of Mr. Jonathan Richardson and the appointment of Mr. Lauren Russell to appointments on the Sexually Oriented Business Licensing Board. That's the proper motion, proper second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. So we now have all those elections and confirmations in. Everybody's been approved. If you will stand when I call your name and remain standing so that we can properly recognize you for agreeing to do this. Mr. Robert Davidson for the Convention Center Authority, also Mr. Barrett Hobbs, also for the Convention Center Authority, and Ms. Vonda McDaniel, Convention Center Authority. You know, I hadn't finished yet. All right. All right, so while everybody's back there, Ms. Denise Harris-Sadler for the Hospital Authority, there she is. Members, please thank her as well. And Mr. Jonathan Richardson and Mr. Lauren Russell for the Sexually Oriented Business Licensing Board. Please make them all feel appreciated. We very much appreciate your willingness to serve and to volunteer your time and expertise. Councilmember Rosenberg, we obviously just adopted a new set of rules, but the proper procedure for council members is to wait until they're all introduced and then go back there. So I'm telling you as chairman of the rules, if they can't get this right, then I may want to rule from you to make sure we do this correctly. Okay? We seem to not be able to get this part of the meeting correct. So we now move to what we call the public comment period. This is a time dedicated to allow members of the general public who have registered in advance to speak on issues relevant to Nashville and Davidson County. We have 3 individuals tonight who have signed up. If you will, please come forward. You will have 2 minutes to address the body. The first individual up is Ms. Kay Bowers from District 25. That's Councilmember Pooley's district. She lives at 4033 Albert Drive, and she is speaking tonight on affordable housing. Ms. Bowers, you're recognized. You got 2 minutes.
Okay, I don't know where the clock is, Jim, so.
There's a clock. You can see it up here or up at the top.
All right. Well, I'm Kay Bowers, and I'm the Executive Director of New Level Community Development Corporation, and my congregation is active with NOAA. I've been asked to speak about the impact of the 50% reduction in funding to the Barnes Fund and to a project we otherwise would have been awarded funding for. Our 51-home townhome project to provide 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes for families to buy at affordable prices was pulled from the list of approved projects. So this is what that means. Our financial commitments from our lending partners for the $10 million in leverage can be retracted. The monies to close on the purchase of the property by the deadline are not there, and our ability to help house 200 people is at risk. We've had the land under contract since last summer. 7 months of work and almost $25,000 was spent on earnest money, engineering, architect, and legal fees. And this doesn't account for the time spent by our organization or our developer partner. We do appreciate the meeting with the mayor this afternoon. Thank you, Mayor Cooper, and his genuine concern as well as resourceful thinking to help us try to save the land for the 51 homes we hope to provide for families. There's much work to be done. I have in the audience a family, Nathan and Anna Fields. And Nathan was going to speak. He's a Metro Public School teacher, but he didn't get that testy form in time. So he sent me his thoughts that I'd like to share. Okay.
That is your 2 minutes.
All right.
But we have public comment period the second Tuesday of every month, so you're always welcome to come back.
I'll bring him back next time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So our next speaker is Jeannie Alexander from Councilmember Hager's District, District 11, 1004 Fowler Street, talking about budget concerns. Ms. Alexander.
Thank you. I appreciate your time this evening. I'm speaking on behalf of and representing over 12 organizations, clergy, attorneys, students, and other professionals in Nashville. I'm speaking about budget concerns, and what we mean by that is that you're going to have to make some decisions about what we do have money for in this city and what we don't have money for. And one of the things that's incredibly important to all of us is the issue of whether or not a private corporation is going to continue to run the Metro Detention Center and the Youth Detention Facility in this town. You see, I'm the executive director of No Exceptions, and our focus is on prison reform and sentencing reform in this state. We've been active for 5 years, and one of the things that became clear to me early on was that our internal prison conditions isn't just a problem with county jails and state prisons. It is a core civic problem. We know how much money core civic spends in this town. We know how much money they spend in helping some of you to get elected. We know how much money they pump into nonprofits. And the fact of the matter is that that is done to cover up the fact and to make you forget about the family detention centers, to forget about the deplorable conditions in the jails and prisons that they run, not just in this state, but in other states. We're going to take the time over the next month and then longer to help educate you about the truth concerning core civic and those conditions. This meeting opened up with a prayer that invoked compassion and love and social justice. We also opened this meeting with a moment of silence to acknowledge a civil rights warrior in Ms. Gentry. We cannot speak this language in Nashville while continuing to do business with a corporation that major banks are divesting from. You will know if you don't know right now. Within the next month, you will know. And you can't plead ignorance.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. And our final speaker tonight is Martez Gaines. He's from District 7, from Councilmember Benedict's District, 1035 Chester Avenue, speaking also on budget concerns. Mr. Gaines.
Awesome, thank you. My name is Martez Gaines, and as was stated, I live in Councilmember Benedict's District 7. I'm also here today as a citizen concerned with the upcoming renewal for the contract with Core Civic. As we enter this holiday season, I'm especially keen of the many problems Nashvillians and others are facing. I was just outside at a rally in 30-degree weather where I saw some of you, where we were fighting for the Barnes Fund to be restored. I'm now thinking about the inhumane conditions that our separated community members must endure while inside Core Civic-run facilities. I want to be clear that Core Civic engages in the targeting of Black and brown bodies to fill beds and make profit from human suffering and misery. I am asking that we make our values very plain in this city, that in Nashville we will prioritize people over profit. Though we may have different ideas about the needs for prison, we should at least have the same idea that all folks, even those incarcerated, should have the right to humanity. I'm a member of a few different organizations, Southern Northern New Ground, a regional organization, Sunrise Movement, and Black Lives Matter Nashville, and we are all in the business of fighting for liberation for our people. And so I ask, as you are enjoying your family this holiday season, and as we move into a new decade, I ask that you think about the many Nashvillians who are wondering if their family members will even make it out of a Core Civic facility. So please, as we are moving into this new decade, that you think about the vision that we want for this new decade, the vision that we want for our city moving forward. And I'm asking that when that time comes, that we make sure that we do not renew that contract with Core Civic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaines, and I appreciate the comments made by the public. All right, so And again, we do take public comments on the second meeting of every month. You just have to sign up in advance. We now move on to the consent agenda, resolutions and resolutions that are not on the consent agenda. So I'm going to go through the following items that are on the consent agenda, read the resolution numbers, and let me know if anything needs to be bumped. So I'm on page 1. Resolution RS 2019-85 is bumped. The rest of the measures on the consent agenda, with the exception of RS 2019-138, are on the consent agenda. So the only two that are bumped is on page 1 of your agenda, RS 2019-85, and on page 3, RS 2019-138. Those are the only two measures that are bumped. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to pull RS 2019-130, please.
130, okay. Okay, so we've got three measures that are bumped, RS 2019-85, -130, and -138. Anything else? Okay, so I'm going to read the captions of these measures that are on the consent agenda. Resolution RS 2019-131 by Mendes, Hurt, and Welsh. Resolution approving Amendment 1 to a grant from the State of Tennessee, Department of Health, to the Metropolitan Government of Nashville, Davidson County, acting by and through the Board of Health for Family Planning Services. RS 2019-132 by Mendes, Hurt, and others. Resolution accepting a grant from the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health, to help support the emergency sheltering of 60 rabbits seized in May of 2019. Resolution RS 2019-133 by Mendes, Hager, and others. Resolution approving an application for a major cultural institution grant from the Tennessee Arts Commission to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Arts Commission, to provide general operating support. Resolution RS 2019-134 by Councilmember Mendes. Resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the property damage claim of the Evergreen at Worthen Apartments against the Metropolitan Government in the amount of $25,699, with said amount to be paid out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. Resolution RS 2019-135 by Welsh, Johnston, and others. Resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the Metropolitan Transit Authority and the Metropolitan Department of Public Works, approving an intergovernmental agreement by and between the State of Tennessee, Department of Transportation, and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and between the Department of Public Works for the acceptance of work in connection with the construction of intersection improvements on Nolensville Pike from McNally Drive to Natchez Court. Resolution RS 2019-136 by Welsh, Johnston, and others. Resolution approving an application for a multimodal access grant from the State of Tennessee, Department of Transportation, to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Department of Public Works for safety and access improvements at the intersection of Nolensville Pike and McNally Drive. Resolution RS 2019-137 by Toombs, Gamble, and others. Resolution approving an application for a hazard mitigation grant from the State of Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Water and Sewerage Services Department for flood mitigation. Resolution RS 2019-139 by Councilmember Syracuse. Resolution honoring Big Brothers Big Sisters of Middle Tennessee for 50 years of service to Nashville. And Resolution RS 2019-140, Van Reese, Johnston, and others. Resolution recognizing the Tennessee Women's Suffrage Monument Board and their efforts to create the Tennessee Women's Suffrage Monument. Any problems? We're good. So any questions about what was on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go to committee reports. Budget and Finance, Councilmember Mendes, you're recognized. Oh, okay. Councilmember Toombs, handling Budget and Finance. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance approved 2019-131, 940 against.
Okay, and then you've got some more, I think. Yep.
I'll just go down the line. 132, 940 against. 133, 940 against. 134, 940 against. 135, 940 against. 136, 940 against. And 137, 940 against.
That's got it. Councilmember Porterfield, Education.
Thank you so much, Chair. Resolution RS 2019-130, 7 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hurt, Health and Hospitals.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Health, Hospitals, and Social Services voted for Resolution 2019-131 and 132, 4 in favor and 0 against.
That's got it. Thank you. Parks, Library, and Arts, Santa Claus. Councilmember Hager.
Bah humbug.
Yeah.
We we approved that 7-4-0 against.
Thank you. It's on 133, correct?
Correct.
All right. Planning and Zoning, Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. They were all in favor, 12 in favor, 0 against on the consent
I think you've
calendar.
got 135 on there.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
12 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Henderson, you're recognized for Public Works.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Public Works Committee recommended approval for Resolution 135, 136, and 137, 10 in favor and 0 against.
All right. Thank you. And Councilmember Rosenberg, you've got rules.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rules voted on RS 139, 6 in favor, none against, and on 140, 7 in favor, none against.
All right. And how about a motion to approve everything on the consent agenda?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Got a motion to approve everything on the consent agenda, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay, so we're back now on Resolution RS 2019-85 by Councilmember Vercher. A resolution requesting the Metropolitan Planning Commission and the Metropolitan Planning Department to amend the adopted subdivision regulations of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to prohibit the creation of new private streets and require all new streets created as part of the subdivision platting process to be public rights-of-way. So I'm going to go to Councilmember Vercher or Councilmember Porterfield. I'm going to go to Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you so much, Chair. Move for approval. Defer, sorry. I am deferring indefinitely.
Okay, so the motion is to defer indefinitely. There is a committee report. Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
Thank you. The Planning Committee voted to defer indefinitely, 13 in favor, 0 against.
Okay.
That's 12 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. So Councilmember Porterfield, you're moving to defer indefinitely?
I am moving to defer
Okay,
indefinitely.
that's properly seconded. Councilmember Druffel, you're recognized.
I'll take that off. I was just going to ask some questions. Since it's deferred, I'll wait.
All right, that sounds good. Councilmember Porterfield has moved to defer indefinitely, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the defer indefinitely motion say aye. Opposed, no. The bill is deferred indefinitely. Thank you, Councilmember Porterfield. Okay. We're now on Resolution RS 2019-130, Councilmembers Mendez, Rosenberg, and others. Resolution appropriating a certain amount for the benefit of the Metropolitan Board of Public Education, Metro Nashville Public Schools, $7,578,000. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Committee report, please.
All right, Education, Councilmember Porterfield. We're on 130.
7 in favor, 0 against.
All right, back to you, Councilmember Mendez.
I think we need budget and finance also.
Oh, okay, sorry. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. 9-4-0 against.
All right. Back to the chairman of the Budget Committee, Councilmember Mendez.
Well, first of all, I appreciate my vice chair handling the meeting yesterday. I would like to move approval of Resolution 2019-130 with a brief explanation.
Okay, got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Back to you.
Okay, so this is the additional $7.5 million of appropriation for the school system for the raise that got promised last summer outside of the legislation process. And I'd like to express appreciation to the administration for finding the money and MNPS for working with them to get that together. And with that, renew the motion.
All right. So I got a motion properly seconded. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I mostly pulled this just because I think it is important to remember the commitment that I think a lot of people had and the frustration that a lot of people had that we have fallen short, particularly with teacher pay, but with Metro employees in general. And, you know, having had a special Budget and Finance Committee meeting last week to review details of a corrective action plan, I do just also want to make sure that with this fund balance that everything, and this might have been discussed in Budget and Finance, but I'd just love to hear confirmation, in some ways affirmation, that we are moving forward in a way that, we have struggled with some of the other priorities, including affordable housing, and I want to make sure that this doesn't put us in renewed jeopardy in some way, that we will be coming back in, a matter of weeks to address something related to this. Thank you.
So, Councilor Mendez, do you want to respond to that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So first of all, it's, this is, I guess, just my opinion, but I'm the lead sponsor, so I guess I get to say it. This is a ridiculous situation. The former mayor promised a pay raise outside of the legislative process that there was no money to deliver. And so this supplemental appropriation is being done narrowly within the bounds of what we're allowed to do under state law. Under state law, the fund balance for school system, I'm going to forget the exact percentage, needs to stay within 3%, and this appropriation of fund balance money will keep it just above that. And so I don't think it would be anybody's first wish to have to use fund balance mid-year, but here we are. There was a promise made outside the legislative process in middle of the election, and we're finding a way to make it happen, to live up to that commitment. And especially in this season where it's difficult with the general fund's finances to honor all commitments, being able to find a way that stays within the restrictions of state law and honors it, and gets teachers and MNPS employees money that I think we all think they deserve and need. It's not comfortable, but I don't think, to answer the council member's question, puts us in any jeopardy, I think is the word he used. I don't think there's any jeopardy from this.
Councilmember O'Connell?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Mendez. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you'll indulge me for a minute, this is relevant to this legislation, but also particularly relevant on a day that a local advocacy group decided to put out their report card on our schools. This is a quick story written by someone named Jamie Vollmer. If I ran my business the way you people operate your schools, I wouldn't be in business very long. I stood before an auditorium filled with outraged teachers who were becoming angrier by the minute. My speech had entirely consumed their precious 90 minutes of in-service. Their initial icy glares had turned to restless agitation. You could cut the hostility with a knife. I represented a group of business people dedicated to improving public schools. I was an executive at an ice cream company that had become famous in the mid-1980s when People magazine chose our Blueberry as the best ice cream in America. I was convinced of two things. First, public schools needed to change. They were archaic, selecting and sorting mechanisms designed for the industrial age and out of step with the needs of our emerging knowledge society. Second, educators were a major part of the problem. They resisted change, hunkered down in their feathered nests, protected by tenure and shielded by a bureaucratic monopoly. They needed to look to business. We knew how to produce quality, zero defects, TQM, continuous improvement. In retrospect, the speech was perfectly balanced, equal parts ignorance and arrogance. As soon as I finished, a woman's hand shot up. She appeared polite, pleasant. She was, in fact, a razor-edged veteran, high school English teacher who had been waiting to unload. She began quietly. "We're told, sir, that you manage a company that makes good ice cream." I smugly replied, "Best ice cream in America, ma'am." "How nice," she said. "Is it rich and smooth?" 16% butterfat, I crowed. "Premium ingredients?" she inquired. "Super premium, nothing but AAA. I was on a roll. I never saw the next line coming. "Mr. Vollmer," she said, leaning forward with a wicked eyebrow raised to the sky, "when you're standing on your receiving dock and you see an inferior shipment of blueberries arrive, what do? In the silence of that room, I could hear the trap snap. I was dead meat, but I wasn't going to lie. I send them back. She jumped to her feet. "That's right," she barked, "and we never send back our blueberries. We take them big, small, rich, poor, gifted, exceptional, abused, frightened, confident, homeless, rude, and brilliant. We take them with ADHD, junior rheumatoid arthritis, and English as their second language. We take them all, every one, and that, Mr. Vollmer, is why it's not a business, it's school." In an explosion, all 290 teachers, principals, bus drivers, aides, custodians, and secretaries jumped to their feet and yelled, "Yeah, blueberries, blueberries." And so began my long transformation. Since then, I visited hundreds of schools. I've learned that a school is not a business. Schools are unable to control the quality of their raw material. They depend upon the vagaries of politics for a reliable revenue stream, and they're constantly mauled by a howling horde of disparate, competing customer groups that would send the best CEOs screaming into the night. None of this negates the need for change. We must change what, when, and how we teach to give all children maximum opportunity to thrive in a post-industrial society. But educators cannot do this alone. These changes can occur only with the understanding, trust, permission, and active support of the surrounding community. For the most important thing I've learned is that school reflects the attitudes, beliefs, and health of the communities they serve, and therefore to improve public education means more than changing our schools, it means changing America. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Glover, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm going to make this very brief. Yesterday, I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but yesterday I expressed during Budget and Finance the concern I have. I served on the school board. When I was there, we were kind of forced into a position to utilize reserve funds to pay for a raise at that time. And the challenges it presents, you have to remember when you do this, because of certain state laws, you automatically are built in for next year. And so there's no turning back on it. That being said, I wrestled with this pretty heavily because I want the money going to the teachers. I want them getting paid. I want the money being pushed to the classroom. But what I hope the board will do when they go forward is look at how can they make sure that they're pushing every available dollar into the classroom in order to complete the educational process for our children. Is it challenging? Absolutely. Could I do it? No, absolutely not. I'm supporting this tonight, but it is with caution. I warn us all that when we start taking money out of our savings account to pay for raises, we're creating, we're doing a lot of the same thing we've done that got us in the problem we're in right now in the city. And so with that, I'm going to support it. I just hope that we will look a little more diligently on the way that we do this in the future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Glover. Councilmember Swope.
Previous question.
Previous question has been called for. You're the last person in the queue. All those in favor of the previous question say aye. Opposed, no. Previous question prevails. We're on the motion to pass. We're on Resolution RS 2019-130. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Resolution is adopted. Resolution RS 2019-138 by Councilmember Murphy. This is a resolution honoring the life of Bill Whitson. Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rules voted 7 in favor, none against.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. We've decided to pull this off consent, even though we've had overwhelming support, because I wanted to make sure that we as a body properly recognized Mr. Whitson for the service that he gave to Nashville. You can read in the resolution about him, but I wanted to specifically highlight that he was Director of Purchasing and Director of Water Services under Mayor Beverly Briley and Richard Fulton. And he also served our community in the state legislature, in addition to being one of the first members of the first grade class at Sylvan Park Elementary School. I was very lucky to meet him at a retirement party about a year or two ago and was just overwhelmingly delighted with his personality and his charisma, and really, honestly, his true dedication to the city of Nashville. And so I'd like to ask all of you tonight voting in favor of this resolution that we all co-sponsor this. And then I will be taking copies of the resolution to his son, who is serving in the state legislature and is also just truly embodies the spirit of his father. And so this family is truly great public servants to Nashville, to Tennessee, and I did not want this resolution to go by without us noticing it, honoring him, and making sure everybody had the opportunity to co-sponsor. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Murphy. I will say that I'd ask Councilmember Murphy to pull this so that we could actually recognize the service of Bill Whitson. I served with him when he was Commissioner of General Services for the state. One of the nicest people you will ever meet. Any objection to everybody signing on the resolution?
Thank you. With
Okay.
that, I'd like to move, I didn't make a motion. I'd like to move approval.
Okay, so a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you. All right, we have two late filed resolutions. The first one is by Councilmember O'Connell. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized for a motion on a late filed resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to get committee reports.
All right, so first of all, we got to get a suspension of the rules. I
Oh,
believe.
yeah, you're correct. Because it is late filed, I would like to move to suspend the rules.
All right, so there's a motion to suspend the rules. Let me go to you. Can you just give a brief explanation of
Be
what
happy
we're doing?
to. So some of you might be aware, especially those of you who served last term, that we passed a housing incentive pilot program that was originally intended to be a companion bill with inclusionary zoning, which is now no longer legal in the city thanks to the actions of the General Assembly. So we lost a full half of a set of affordable housing tools, but we kept one, and it has been used, and it is correctly called a pilot. It was supposed to run for about 3 years. It was passed in September of 2016. And it was to sunset per an amendment to the original bill December 31st, 2019, unless extended by resolution by council. So basically, this resolution, late filed, would prevent the sunset to allow the Affordable Housing and Budget and Finance Committees to do a proper evaluation. I know obviously we have had our focus on compliance with the comptroller's office here as the term has gotten underway, and I think it's important that council deliberate on the efficacy of this program rather than just letting it quietly sunset with no attention whatsoever, and hence this resolution.
All right, thank you for that wonderful brief explanation of what that bill resolution did. All right, so we have to have a motion to suspend the rules. I'm going to go to the Rules Committee. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized for a report from the Rules Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. A sponsor appeared before the Rules Committee, and the Rules Committee found this rule suspension to be appropriate.
All right, back to you, Councilmember Connell. We have a motion to suspend the rules to get this matter before us. Any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing none, back to you, Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move approval with a brief explanation, kind of addendum.
All right, so I got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Did you have a Rules Committee report?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I guess we do need to go to that report.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rules Committee voted 6 in favor, none against.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Councilmember O'Connell.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. So having heard that, one of the reasons this caught my attention is because one of the, I guess actually a couple of the incentive grants approved under the original ordinance have happened in District 19 and are currently housing 16 teachers, offering housing at a workforce rate. And I know we have a lot of options, but we have relatively few tools remaining. I think as a part of this, that what this resolution does is extend the program by 3 months. It's probably not a realistic window necessarily in order to process a bunch of new applications under this program, but I think it is enough time to perhaps allow the Affordable Housing Committee and Budget and Finance Committee to consider its merits and possibly suggest either improvements or acceptance that it's worth continuing in a more realistic form. But I didn't want to let it just collapse without any attention whatsoever, because I know it has been put to use and is literally housing people affordably in District 19 right now. So with that, I would renew my motion and encourage colleagues to support.
All right, thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. There's a motion to approve, properly seconded. Councilmember Sledge, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I wanted to commend Councilman O'Connell for bringing this forward, and just to add on, the pilot program currently still has funds available for those who might be interested in this 3-month period. I believe there are $60,000 still sit in the fund. So I say that, 1, to encourage potential applicants, and 2, to reassure the body that we will, this has no fiscal impact. So.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Mendez.
I was just going to add briefly that originally this program would have sunset in the previous term, and it was Councilmember Allen and I that had proposed the amendment to extend it to 12/31/2019, and the express purpose of that amendment was to give the new council a chance to take a look at it, which obviously we've been distracted by other things over the last couple months. So the idea of kicking out the deadline 90 days to give us a chance to actually do that would be appropriate, I think.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, would just like to add that I have agreed to have the Affordable Housing Committee have a meeting dedicated to the discussion of this in January, so we will be talking about the merits of it and getting data so that we can make a good decision on that. And I'm also appreciative that my former district, District 18, has some of these that are sitting right on a bus line exactly where these are supposed to be used to provide opportunities for people. So I appreciate the opportunity to look at this further.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Allen. Nobody else in the queue. I've got a motion to approve, been properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. One last late file resolution. This is by Councilmember Henderson. Councilmember Henderson, you're recognized on a late file resolution.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move to suspend the rules, please.
All right, so there's a motion to suspend the rules. Can you give us just a brief explanation of what this is?
Yes. This was brought to my attention yesterday afternoon. This extends a contract with Waste Industries for trash pickup. This is the final 5-year renewal of a 20-year procurement. This process was, as far as the negotiations were begun in August of this year. The contract was completed in mid-November, and this basically is just, once it kind of got into purchasing, there were 2 contracts before them with the words waste in it and a staff member out, and it just was kind of an error. But this contract does expire on December 31st, so time is of the essence.
All right. So you've heard the explanation. There's a motion to suspend the rules to get this matter before us tonight. Any objection to suspension of the rules? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Councilmember Rosenberg for just a report on the Rules Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The sponsor appeared before rules, and so that trash doesn't pile up in the streets, we found the suspension appropriate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Rosenberg. So Councilmember Henderson has moved to suspend the rules, been through Rules Committee. Any objection to suspension of the rules? Seeing none, Councilmember Henderson, you're on your resolution.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I guess I would request committee reports and then provide the Public Works Committee report, or do I need to move approval?
So go ahead and ask for committee reports. So Councilmember Rosenberg, did this come before you also as, okay, so there's only one committee report. It's Public Works. It's yours.
Public Works recommended approval, 9 in favor and 0 against.
All right. So now you're on your resolution. You can move for passage.
I would move approval, please.
Okay. So there's a motion to move for passage, properly seconded. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Thanks. I know this just came up in the last 24 hours or so, but I did want to make sure that we ask Council Director Cooper about the fiscal impact. My understanding, at least as of mid-afternoon, is that any money associated with this is already in the operating budget. Can you confirm that for us?
Mr. Cooper.
That's correct. The 5-year extension term has an estimated value of $5.2 million, and for the current fiscal year, the funds are budgeted for this extension, and going forward, it would be budgeted as a contractual requirement through Public Works.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Mendez. Councilmember Henderson?
I would renew my motion to approve, please.
So it's a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any other discussion? So I just want to be clear. So if this doesn't pass tonight, what happens with our garbage? So I guess I would ask Mr. Cooper.
I think that Bob Cratchit's goose left at the side of the road would probably rot if it didn't get picked up.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Thank you. Councilmember Henderson has moved for approval, properly seconded. Seeing nobody else in the queue, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. So that's kind of an inside joke. We knew he was going to say that. I just forgot to ask somebody to ask that, so I had to do it myself. So we are now through resolutions. We are on bills on introduction and first reading. Unless there's an objection, we'll take all the bills on first reading at the same time. Can I have a motion to approve? Got a motion to approve all bills on introduction, first reading, properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We're on bills on second reading, BL 2019-30 by Councilmember Murphy. This is an ordinance amending Metropolitan Code, Chapter 16.04, to restrict barbed wire and/or razor wire fencing. Councilman Murray, if you will hold on, so I tend to forget this. We actually have bills on second reading that we can take on a consent calendar. So I'm going to come back to you. So there are actually bills. If you'll pull out your calendar, we can actually take a number of these bills all at one time. So let's make sure I've got this right. BL 2019-86 is on consent. 87 is on consent. 95 is on consent. 96 is on consent. 97 is on consent. 98 is on consent. 99 is on consent. 100 on consent. 101 on consent. So the first 5 measures are not, but everything else is. Thank you, Councilmember Murphy, for letting me do that. Anything that needs to come off the consent calendar, we'll treat this just the way we handle the consent calendar on resolutions. I'm going to read through the amendments. We'll take committee reports, and then we'll come back originally to the bills that are not on consent. Okay, seeing none, we're on BL 2019-86. Again, these are on consent agendas on second reading. This is a bill by Councilmembers Roberts, Murphy, and Henderson. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing easement rights for property located at 4901 Centennial Boulevard between 49th Avenue North and Louisiana Avenue. BL 2019-87 by Toombs, Murphy, and Henderson. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water main and easements and to accept new water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assembly, sanitary sewer manhole, and easements for property located at 2420 Stiver Street. BL 2019-95 by Sledge, Hurt, and Swara. An ordinance to amend Title 16 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to require diaper changing facilities in certain public restrooms. BL 2019-96 by Murphy and Henderson. Ordinance adopting the Geographic Information System Street and Alley Centerline layer with the recordation of renaming additions and deletions of acceptances and abandonments as reflected on the centerline layer to date as the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance record for the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. BL 2019-97 by Van Rees, Mendes, and others. Ordinance approving and authorizing the Director of Public Property Administration or his designee to accept donation of real property, including existing water pumping station and the surrounding pump house building located Oakwood Avenue, unnumbered, for Metro Water Services. Bill 2019-98, Withers, Murphy, and Henderson. Ordinance to authorize the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon an existing water main and easements and to accept new water mains, fire hydrant assemblies, and easements for property located at 750 South 5th Street. BL 2019-99 by Councilmembers O'Connell, Murphy, and Henderson. Ordinance authorized the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water main and to accept new public water main for properties located at 200 and 308 12th Avenue North. BL 2019-100, Stiles, Murphy, and Henderson. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water main, one fire hydrant assembly, and easements, and to accept a new fire hydrant assembly and easements for property located at 5510 Crossing Circle. BL 2019-101 by Pulley, Murphy, and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to negotiate and accept permanent and temporary easements for the Battlefield Drive Stormwater Improvement Project for 43 properties located along Battlefield Drive. Anything needs to come off the consent calendar? All right. If not, then I'm going to go and get committee reports just on those measures. So Budget and Finance, Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized. Oh, wait a minute. Councilmember Sledge? Councilmember O'Connell?
I guess my request to speak don't mean anything to you anymore.
No, I just didn't see it over there first.
I'd like to pull BL 2019-95, please.
Okay. So BL 2019-95 is pulled. That's the diaper changing facilities. Okay. All right. I got it. All right. Anything else that needs to be pulled? All right. So I'm going to go to Councilmember Toombs for a report from Budget and Finance. And 95 was just pulled, so you got 97.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted for approval, 10-4, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Sledge, Codes, Fairs, and Farmers Market.
Just on 2019-30, we recommended as amended 8-4-0 against.
Okay. Got it, okay. Convention, Tourism, Public, that's also 95. That's Councilmember Swope, so I'll come back to you. Planning, Zoning, and Historical, Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
The committee voted 12 in favor, 0 against on all of the bills before us on consent.
All right, thank you. And Councilmember Henderson, Public Works.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Public Works Committee recommended approval of bills 2019-96, 98, 99, and 100, 10 in favor, 0 against. And Bill 2019-97, 8 in favor, 0 against. And Bill 2019-101, 9 in favor, 0 against. All recommending approval.
85, 86, and 87.
85.
Oh, those are already approved.
Oh, yeah, I got them. Okay. We got them? Got everything in? All right, so Councilmember Henderson, if you would move to approve all measures on second reading on the consent calendar.
I would move to approve all measures on consent.
All right, thank you. Got a proper second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're on the consent calendar on second reading. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, so we're now back to the beginning of the calendar. Now I'm going back to Councilmember Murphy. I appreciate you letting me fix that. BL 2019-30, Councilmember Murphy. Ordinance amending Metropolitan Code Chapter 16.04 to restrict barbed wire and or razor wire fencing along arterials and collector roadways within the urban zoning overlay district, and to cross-reference the existing restrictions on barbed wire and or razor wire fencing along sidewalks in the urban services district. Councilmember Murphy, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Can I have committee reports, please?
You certainly can. Codes, Councilmember Sledge.
2019-30 was recommended as amended, 8-4-0 against.
All right. Public Works, Councilmember Henderson.
Public Works Committee recommended approval as amended, 8 in favor and 0 against.
All right. Back to you, Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So what we have before us, it was really, I filed this originally as a move to try to get some enforcement on barbed wire. There seemed to be some confusion about where you could have it, where you could not have it. And so fortunately with this, we were able to discover what part of the barbed wire code falls under Public Works, shockingly, and then part of it does fall under codes. So what this legislation does is further clarify that and make sure that we get some barbed wire out of some places where we want to make sure that we are being pedestrian friendly and having a good walking environment. And so but the amendment, what it does is it does still allow for a single strand of barbed wire on top of any fence over 7 feet tall. And I think that's important so people can still secure their property when and where necessary. And so with that, I thank the committee's support and request approval on the amendment.
Okay, so there's a motion on her amendment. It's properly seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? We're on BL 2019-30. Seeing none, we're on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, no. Amendment passes. You're back on your bill as amended.
Thank you. With that, I think I have summarized the bill and the amendment, and so I'd like to move the bill as amended and request council support.
All right. So Councilmember Murphy has moved BL 2019-30 as amended. Properly moved, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're on second reading. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt the bill on second reading. BL 2019-49 by Councilmember Syracuse and O'Connell. Ordinance authorizing a property tax exemption for historic properties owned by charitable institutions in accordance with Tennessee Code Annotated Section 67-5-222. Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I am going to move for approval on second reading, but defer third reading to February 4th with a re-referral to Budget and Finance.
All right, let's get a...
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Toombs, you got a report on this one?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee approved everything that he just said, 10-4, 0 against.
All right, well, I'm glad somebody remembered what he just said. Okay, so Councilmember Syracuse, what I've got is a motion to pass on second tonight to defer third reading until the first meeting in February?
Correct, with a brief explanation.
And then re-refer back to budget?
Correct.
Okay. With a brief explanation. You got that one. Okay, Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Real quickly, so this will align BL 2019-49 with BL 2019-3 that is on third reading tonight that I'm also going to defer to the same time to line them up together. And I'll give another short explanation there as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Syracuse. He's moved to do everything he wanted to do with this bill. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion? So again, it's passage on second reading tonight, deferred third reading until the first meeting in February, and refer back to budget. That's the motion, properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2019-50 by Councilmember Murphy. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Property or his designee to transfer to Bonnie Small, Administrator of the estate of Sylvia Rose Barish, via the attached quitclaim deeds, any remaining interest the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County has in a certain parcel of property located at 264 White Bridge Pike, 262 White Bridge Pike, and 5540 Oakmont Circle. Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
Thank you. I would like the committee report, and the committee report from planning was to defer this 2 more meetings, and so with that, I would like to defer this 2 more meetings, please.
Okay, so Councilmember Murphy has moved to defer this 2 meetings, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion to defer is approved. BL 2019-75 by Councilmember Rosenberg and Toombs. Ordinance amending Chapter 2.30 of the Metropolitan Code to require 911 telecommunications to be trained in the delivery of high-quality telecommunicator cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee reports, please.
Budget and Finance, Councilmember Toombs.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee approved the amendment 9-4, 1 against, and approved the bill as amended 8-4 and 2 against.
All right, thank you. Got Public Safety, Councilmember Johnston.
Public Safety voted 7 in favor, 0 against to defer 1 meeting.
All right, thank you. And I got Health and Hospitals, Councilmember Hurt. We are on BL 2019-75. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Health, Hospitals, and Social Services voted 4 in favor and 0 against for a deferral of 1 meeting by room.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a little bit of work to make sure that we got the amended language right while it's still amendable. So I'd like to move to defer 1 meeting, please.
Okay, motion is to defer 1 meeting, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the defer motion say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2019-85 by Councilmember Murphy and Henderson. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes and easements. How come this didn't get on there? Okay. And easements for property located at 4119 Murfreesboro Pike. Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
Thank you. This is going to be deferred 1 meeting. Committee report is to defer it 1 meeting. We're going to make sure that the district council person signs on and gives us some guidance. So with that, I renew the motion for deferral of 1 meeting.
Okay, and this has already been approved by the Public Works Committee? All right, so the motion is to defer 1 meeting, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to defer, say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We're now on BL 2019-95 by Councilmember Sledge, Hurd, and Suara. Ordinance to amend Title 16 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to require diaper changing facilities in certain public restrooms. Councilmember Sledge, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Committee reports. I've got Budget and Finance. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized. We're on BL 2019-95.
Budget and Finance approved 10-4, 0 against.
All right. Councilmember Swope, Convention Tourism, Public Entertainment.
Convention Tourism voted approval 6-4, 0 against.
And Councilmember Sledge, back to you for codes.
Thank you. Codes approved 9-4, 0 against. We move approval.
Okay, I got a motion to approve, properly seconded. I've got people in the queue. Councilmember Bradford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. My only question is the
Do we know exactly where that $850 comes from? Does that include labor? Is that just the changing tables? Just some clarification on that.
Councilmember Sledge?
Sure, that was a quote provided to the council office and myself from General Services. I can't say with 100% certainty it includes the labor, but I believe it does. I'm looking at Hannah, Danielle, and they say, I don't know, so.
Mr. Cooper?
I believe that's labor and material.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Bradford, answer your question. Okay. Councilmember Benedict, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to commend the sponsor of this bill. I think this is a fantastic bill. I think as we work towards making sure that everybody can take care of all of their children, take care of everybody in this city, this is a fantastic thing for us to pass, and I'm excited to see this implemented in the future. I support this bill.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple questions before we push this on to third reading, and I don't know if if there's a possibility of extending it. As I've looked at the legal analysis, I just wanted to get some clarification of public restroom. Does that mean restrooms that are generally available to the public, or those also in private establishments? So I guess I would look to Mr. Cooper for an answer on that.
Mr. Cooper?
It would be any restroom that is publicly accessible or available to the public. So that would include commercial establishments and anywhere that's not limited to use by only employees or something.
Got it. Okay. I guess in light of that, if I'm taking you to mean that would be, for instance, any bar or restaurant, et cetera, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In light of that, I think I would wonder if we have looked to possibly restrict the reach of this bill so that maybe you would exclude, for instance, places where children or underage folks are generally not allowed. There are, I'm sure, certain establishments that would welcome this. In fact, I think the general policy aim here is totally appropriate. As someone who is actively going through potty training right now with a 2-year-old at home, the bigger issue, I think, is do we want it to apply universally, or is there some way we could be more attentive to which businesses might actually not have any use for this ever, and therefore is it too far? Is the reach of the bill too far?
Councilmember Sledge, do you want to try this one?
Sure. So I appreciate the comment. So I think, I think the establishments that probably limit the access to children are fairly limited. And I would say that I was thinking through this. While I think that the logic of it is sound, I believe that this is going to sound really funny. I think emergencies happen at any time, in any place. So I think if there were the need of a parent to be able to access those facilities in an establishment that generally would not accept children, I think we would still want to have that option available.
All right, thank you, Councilmember O'Connell.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I've got Councilmember Rutherford. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. I think it's an incredible bill. As a father myself of an 8-year-old, I'm only a few years removed from being in that circumstance, and I remember a number of times being in a situation where a baby changing station would have been certainly in order. And when you're in that circumstance, you find really no good alternative. You either change your baby in a place that's not very conducive and making people around you uncomfortable, or you clear out a ladies' room and change your baby where there is a changing station. And I can attest to personally having done both of those things. And so I think this is a good resolution, a good bill with the public welfare definitely requiring it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Roten, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I was just wanting to get, John's talking, but I don't want to. So could you just explain exactly all the establishments where this will be required? I was going to look on for some reason, when this bill starts, the words of the bill have disappeared underneath on the screen, so I don't know what's happened to that. Can you just explain the types of businesses? Is this all businesses in Davidson County is going to be required where they let the public in? Or could you just explain that for me?
So it's an amendment to the building code and the plumbing code. It does not require any retrofitting of any existing restroom unless they are seeking to remodel it, where they would need to go pull a permit. So it's like with any change to the building code, it doesn't require retrofitting unless you're making modifications. But it would apply to any government or private facility that is being renovated or being constructed that would allow public access to the restrooms. I think for metro facilities, it would require a retrofit. At least that was part of the discussion.
I can take that. So,
All right, Councilmember Sledge.
I believe under the legislation, it doesn't require
For any
retrofit
other-
for any
okay.
facility. But if a metro facility were to renovate, then
Then
it
they
would
would,
be
right.
required. Yeah.
The only reason I was asking, I was just curious, like of a small restroom where it's just one toilet in the restroom and there's not room to put in one of
So-
these, and you're redoing the bathroom.
There is a provision in the code currently, in the building code, that allows the codes director or codes department to waive requirements when they're not, physically.
So we'll have a bath, we will have a
There-
potty inspector is what we're going to have for.
There's a mechanism to appeal decisions.
Do we have a title for this employee? I just was curious what that was going to be called, the little child potty
We'll-
inspector.
We'll let the council name the position.
Thank you.
Thank you, I think, Councilmember Roden. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I support the intent of the bill. It seems, I know when my kids were little, would kind of pick places based on the kind of facilities that were available, and in an emergency situation, run out to the back seat or the trunk of the car or find a quiet corner. So I'm not sure exactly the necessity, but the thing I'm most hung up on is requiring a 21 and up establishment to install these, and really just the requirement on private business in general. I appreciate the intent, but can't see supporting it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Rosenberg. Councilmember Hancock, you're recognized.
Just in response to the comment where there might be some bathrooms that are too small for a changing facility, I started traveling with my son when he was 6.5 weeks old and went on 101 flights with him before he was 1.5 years. And I completely understand your guess that there might not be enough room, but in every airplane, even a 12-passenger airplane that has a bathroom, there is a changing pad that can fold down from the wall that can fit in any size bathroom. And the changing facilities themselves that they install in the restrooms are typically between $150 and $200. So the $850 is very generous for a lucrative construction worker to install, or perhaps if you're modifying a marble bathroom. But in general, it's not going to be too much of a burden on businesses.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Evans.
It's going to call the previous question.
Okay, previous question has been called. We're on the previous question. All those in favor of the previous question say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Previous question prevails. We are on BL 2019-95. We'll try to take this by voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right.
Under the new rules.
Under the new rules, so I can identify, I believe there's 1, 2, 3. Anybody else? So under the new rules, I can actually do it that way, so that will be marked as no. So passes by voice vote. The noes that are recorded.
There are no noes recorded on second reading.
Okay, so no noes recorded on
No
second
yeses
reading.
or noes, just a
Okay,
voice vote.
it's a voice vote
Yep.
passes. Rudolph. Noes. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so so on second reading, BL 2019-95 passes. All right, I believe that concludes everything on second reading. Okay, bills on third reading, BL 2019-3 by Councilmember Syracuse, Murphy, and others. This has been approved by the Planning Commission 8-0. Ordinance amending Metropolitan Code Chapters 5.20 and 17.40, authorizing the Metropolitan Governor of Nashville and Madison County to come under the provisions of Tennessee Code Annotated Section 67-5-218, establishing a historic property review board empowered to abate property taxes relating to certain improvements on restorations made to historic properties. Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
All right. So I've got Budget and Finance. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee voted to defer to the February 4th meeting with a re-referral to Budget and Finance, 10-4, 0 against.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Murphy, Planning and Zoning.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We also deferred this to February 4th, but I did not notice that if there was a re-referral requested, and at the request of the sponsor, we'd be happy to reconsider this, but it was just deferred, so
All right.
I'm not sure that's necessary.
It'll automatically go back.
Yeah,
Automatically,
okay, good.
we'll go back to you. Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I move to defer to the February 4th meeting with a brief explanation.
Okay, so the motion is to defer to the February 4th meeting.
With a re-referral back to Budget and
With a re-referral
Finance.
to back to Budget and Planning?
Um,
It never lets, so it'll come back anyway. All right. So that's the motion, properly seconded. Back to you, Councilmember Syracuse.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Okay, so everybody hopefully has read the very impressive study that was commissioned by the Metro Historic Commission that Place Economics did regarding the positive economic impact that our historic properties and districts have on the county. The next phase of that is going to take into account this proposed legislation, and will be a thorough analysis of it. So we are waiting for that study to be done, which will be in early January, and then I plan to have meetings with, continued meetings with our assessor, with our trustee, with our finance department, and to bring this back when it is fully fleshed out. So with that, I renew my motion. Thank you.
All right, so Councilmember Syracuse has renewed his motion. Again, it's to defer until the February 4th meeting with the proper re-referrals. Been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt the motion. BL 2019-31 as amended, Murphy, Stiles, and Henderson. Ordinance amending Metropolitan Code Chapter 16.04 to require a fence permit for all permanent fences to be constructed within Nashville and Davidson County. Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So last week when I had to leave early, I had left a note for this bill to be deferred one meeting, and it should have been deferred 2 meetings. And so that was my mistake. And so what we're gonna, I'm gonna make a motion to indefinitely defer because of the rule. And so I also wanted to go ahead and announce my intention to immediately put it back on the calendar. I believe that will be the second meeting in January. That actually, we are still waiting on information from FEMA for stormwater. And so hopefully that will give time for the federal government to respond, but we know how that goes. So we'll just revisit this in January where hopefully they have some more information, or we'll move forward without the federal government.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Murphy. Councilmember Murphy has moved to defer this bill indefinitely. It's 2019-31, properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion to defer indefinitely? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion to defer indefinitely is passed. BL 2019-32 by Councilmember Bradford, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0-1 on 11/14/2019. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 17.04, 17.08, 17.16, and 17.20 of the Metropolitan Code pertaining to an airport, medium, or large commercial service. Councilmember Bradford, you're recognized.
Committee reports, please.
Committee reports, Planning and Zoning, Councilmember Murphy.
12 in favor, 0 against.
All right, Traffic and Parking, Councilmember O'Connell from Councilmember Murphy's desk. Oh, no, from his own desk. There you go.
I would never use her microphone. We passed 5 in favor, 0 against.
So there's a motion to object, but I don't know what to do with that. Councilmember Bradford, you're... And that's what I'll do with that. Councilmember Bradford, you're recognized.
Move to adopt.
So the motion is to approve on third reading, Bill 2019-32. Motion to approve, properly seconded. We're on third reading. Any questions? Anybody who needs to speak? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt BL 2019-32 on third and final reading. Thank you to the people from the Airport Authority who have been here all meeting, sitting way in the back. Substitute BL 2019-35 by Councilmember Taylor, Approved by the Planning Commission, ordinance to amend the Geographic Information System street and alley centerline layer for the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Madison County by abandoning alley number 377 right-of-way. Councilmember Taylor, you're recognized.
Thank you. Committee reports, please.
I think they're all in.
Are they in?
You're good to go.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to move for approval.
Got a motion to approve on third reading, substitute BL 2019-35. Motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Substitute BL 2019-35 is passed on third reading. Substitute BL 2019-46 by Council Members Mendez, Toombs, and Glover. Ordinance amending chapters 15.32 and 15.44 of the Metropolitan Code to require the Department of Water and Sewer Services to submit reports to the Metropolitan Council. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
With all committee reports in, move approval.
Got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess I would ask the sponsor, in light of recent activity, both with the Joint Committee of Public Works and Budget and Finance, and then the Corrective Action Plan special meeting, and a relatively new pilot structure built into these new water and sewer rates, would this, would per the code, these require reporting that would allow us to assess sort of the state of the pilot?
Councilmember Mendez, you want this one?
I believe I understand that question. Under this, we will get a report in 6 months about the status of the implementation of the water rates. And beyond that, I'm not sure what the council member is referring to.
I guess just...
Councilmember O'Connell.
Yeah, sure. I think, you know, if the water rates are guaranteed over a period of an indefinite period of time to contribute $10 million, you know, I guess will the impact of that from the water rates be visible in the reporting we'll get from the overall ratepayer base?
Councilmember Mendez.
The rates that we approved at the last meeting that we were going to get ordered to approve by the state of Tennessee had that pilot built into it. I'm expecting that we'll get a report about the implementation of the rates on ratepayers. I'm not sure that it'll be broken down by components of some components of the underlying rate structure.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. Councilmember Glover.
So because the 6-month reporting is something that I'd asked to go into this, and I think, Mr. Cooper, in the event we get that 6-month report, and if someone here doesn't find a piece of data that they feel like was important, et cetera, would we have an opportunity to then come back and amend this and ask to expand it if, in fact, there was things missing that we felt was relevant?
Yes, so the ordinance provides that the report, the annual report, is to include any other material that the Budget and Finance and/or Public Works committees deem necessary.
Okay, all right. Because I felt like, if I remembered correctly, that was the option that we would have available. So, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Glover. Nobody else in the queue. Got a motion to approve on third reading. Properly seconded. Councilmember Mendez, back to you.
Yeah, I guess I just want to mention, you know, sort of baked into the comments from my colleague from District 19 is unhappiness about the $10 million pilot. And on that, I would say no need to wait for the semi-annual or annual reporting. If there's lingering questions about whether it's legitimate to change the pilot after 23 years, you know, we got a committee structure and we can engage in that. And on behalf of the Budget and Finance Committee, if the council member would like to submit more detailed questions to the council director, we can deal with that through Budget and Finance Committee and the department.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Mendez. We're on substitute Big L 2019-46. The motion is to approve on third reading. It's been properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt substitute BL 2019-46 on third reading. I'm going to step down, turn it over to Councilmember Syracuse, but before I go, I do appreciate people dressing up. And I would say that at least from this vantage point, the ugliest Christmas sweater I see is with Councilmember Young.
All right, we are on BL 2019-58, Councilmember Parker, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws and Zoning Ordinance of the Metropolitan Government, Nashville and Davidson County by changing from RS5 to R6A zoning on properties located at 1602, 1604, 1606, 1702, and 1704 Meridian Street, approximately 30 feet northwest of Edith Avenue. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Committee reports, please.
We will be going to Councilmember Murphy for Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
12 in favor, 0 against.
And back to you, Councilmember Parker.
Thank you. Move for approval.
Have a motion properly seconded.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. Seeing nobody else in the queue, all in favor? Against? You adopt. On to substitute BL 2019-59, Councilmember Toombs, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws and Zoning Ordinance of the Metropolitan Government, Nashville and Davidson County by changing from IWD to SP zoning for property located at 1331 Baptist World Center Drive, approximately 100 feet southeast of Weekly Avenue. Councilmember Toombs.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee report.
And off to Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. 12 in favor, 0 against.
Back to Councilmember Toombs.
Move for approval.
I have a motion properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you adopt. Thank you, Councilmember Toombs. BL 2019-62, Councilmember Parker, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws and Zoning Ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from SPR to R6A zoning for property located at 616 Stockwell Street, approximately 100 feet of Grace Street. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Committee reports, please.
Thank you. Off to Councilmember Murphy.
12 in favor, 0 against.
Back to Councilmember Parker.
Thank you. I'd like to move for approval.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? You adopt. Thank you. BL 2019-63, Councilmember Toombs, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws and Zoning Ordinance of the Metropolitan Government, Nashville, Davidson County by changing from RS5 to SP zoning for properties located at 106 Fern Avenue and Birch Avenue unnumbered, approximately 500 feet west of Brick Church Pike. Councilmember Toombs.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee report.
Councilmember Murphy, Planning, Zoning.
12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you.
Move for approval.
I have a motion. It's properly seconded. And seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? You adopt. BL 2019-64, Councilmember Hager, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by applying a contextual overlay district to various properties located south of Saundersville Road, zoned R10. Councilmember Hager.
Press committee report.
Off to Councilmember Murphy.
12 in favor, 0 against.
Back to Councilmember Glover.
Move for approval.
I have a motion. It's properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor?
Thank you.
Against? You adopt.
Thank you.
What? Did it?
Yeah, but you said Councilman Glover.
Oh. Sorry, Bob. Well, okay.
I wanted to correct that.
Councilmember Hager, yes. Let the minutes reflect that I got the wrong. Do you really have something to say?
All I'm going to say is thank you for correcting it. I'd hate for people to think I look like you.
I'm sorry. Sometimes okay, all right. Moving on to substitute BL 2019-66, Councilmember Toombs. An ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from R6 to SP zoning for properties located at 628 West Trinity Lane and West Trinity Lane unnumbered, approximately 300 feet east of Free Silver Road. Councilmember Toombs.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee report.
Off to Councilmember Murphy.
12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Back to Councilmember Toombs.
Move for approval.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? You adopt. On to BL 2019-70, Councilmember Young. An ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws and the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from R10 to MUL zoning for property located at 125 Liberty Lane, approximately 600 feet northwest of Gallatin Pike. Council Member Young. Oh, a point of order.
You skipped.
Hey,
7 was passed.
did I miss 67?
Yes.
My bad. All right.
That's all right.
We'll come back to you, Councilmember Young. Sit tight. All right, Councilmember Hager, my apologies.
That's all right.
We are substitute BL 2019-67, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws and zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from R10 to RS10 zoning for various properties located south of Saundersville Road. Councilmember Hager.
Thank you. Committee report?
Councilmember Murphy.
12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Back to Councilmember Hager.
Ask for approval. Thank you.
I have a motion. It's properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you adopt. My apologies again. All right, Councilmember Young, here we go. BL 2019-70, Councilmember Young, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville, Davidson County by changing from R10 to MUL zoning for property located at 125 Liberty Lane, approximately 600 feet northwest of Gallatin Pike. Councilmember Young.
Committee report.
Back to Councilmember Murphy. This is 70.
12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Back to Councilman Young.
Move for approval.
I have a motion. It's properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you adopt. Thank you. Councilmember Young, BL 2019-72, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from CS, R10, and RS20 to SP zoning for properties located at Gallatin Pike, unnumbered, 320 Conair Drive, and 110 One Mile Parkway at the southeast corner of Apple Valley Road and Conair Drive to permit 442 multifamily residential units, all described herein. Councilmember Young.
Committee report.
Councilmember Murphy.
The committee, following the request of the sponsor, moved to defer this 2 meetings, 12 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Young.
Move to defer 2 meetings.
The motion is to defer 2 meetings, properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you adopt to defer 2 meetings. Thank you, Councilmember Young. BL 2019-73, Councilmember Toombs, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from IWD to MUG zoning for property located at 261 French Landing Drive, approximately 540 feet east of Vantage Way. Councilmember Toombs.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee report?
Councilmember Murphy, Planning
12 in
Zoning.
favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Back to Councilmember Toombs.
Move for approval.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2019-74. Councilmember Bradford, Toombs, and Allen. An ordinance amending Chapter 2.144 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to require the Metropolitan Social Services Commission to submit an annual plan to council regarding the Metropolitan Government's cold weather response plan for Nashville's homeless population. Councilmember Bradford.
Move for approval.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing, I believe, Councilmember O'Connell seeking recognition.
Yes, thank you. Totally appreciate the intent here, and I know that many people were caught by a surprise. As colleagues know, I put on your desk last meeting 3 different documents. I put the recommendations of the Emergency Weather Committee of the Homelessness Planning Council. I put the 3-year strategic plan of the Homelessness Planning Council, and basically a letter kind of detailing what is already in our cold weather community response plan. If you haven't taken the time to review those documents, I would encourage you not to vote for this bill. This bill is going to require staff time, which is already precious, and I will say, for those people that are close to this on the ground, there are very few surprises. One of the things that was most difficult about the recommendations of the Cold Weather Committee was that Metro is structurally unequipped to deal with emergency sheltering, right? So if you think a plan is going to solve the problem of eliminating barriers entirely in a way that makes everybody satisfied next winter, just because we do this, think again. And if you haven't reviewed those materials, think twice about whether you want to require staff time to make this plan that no one will review. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Back to Councilmember Bradford.
Just to follow up on Councilmember O'Connell, I've had meetings with both the mayor's office, social services, Office of Emergency Management. Everyone I've spoken to applauded and stated that this is something that we need so that we can be prepared each year to be able to work with both our nonprofit area and to create that public-private partnership so that we know going into each winter what we are going to be needing as far as bed space and resources. So I ask for my colleagues to go ahead and move for approval on this bill.
Councilmember Allen, you seeking recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the efforts of Councilmember O'Connell to get the report put together, and I will confess that I was not aware of that report until you gave it to us, which I appreciate you providing, and there is an awful lot of good information that describes the complexities of that. My understanding, if I have heard this correctly, is that that there is support for this bill from folks who have been involved in doing the study that was done. And I guess the question I would like to clarify is if all that groundwork that was laid could be the basis of what this plan is, and rather than have somebody go back and reinvent the wheel, which I don't think anybody wants to do, is simply to build on that as an annual update, so to speak, so that we're not spending precious time that should be going to solving the problem.
Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Certainly, I want to applaud the many years of work and involvement that Councilmember O'Connell has focused on this issue. It is my understanding from staff with Homeless Impact as well that through the discussions with the lead sponsor, Councilmember Bradford, Mr. Airport, that this is beneficial. The first 3 years that we had emergency overflow shelters, they were all in District 6. I will say that last year's was a little bit challenging to deal with, both from the community side as well as from the Metro staff side, and frankly, even from the standpoint of folks who were trying to access those services. It was a little bit problematic for a number of reasons. And so I believe that getting a plan in place as early as possible in the year is in everyone's best interest, especially for those whom we're trying to serve, because sometimes otherwise they can actually end up in a situation that's a little bit more dangerous than you might imagine if you had not visited one of the emergency overflow shelters. So I believe that Councilmember Bradford's work in this area, working with the Homeless Impact staff, to get this in the planning stages every year a little bit earlier, and potentially also in the budget, is very, very beneficial. It's my understanding in particular as well that Office of Emergency Management is taking on a little bit larger of a role than in planning through this than maybe they have in the past. I do want to echo Councilmember O'Connell's point, though, that Metro government is not really well equipped to handle this. We definitely do need our nonprofit and especially faith community to kind of step up a little bit more than they have. They already do a lot. My own church is one of the Room in the Inn churches, and I know we have a lot of that, so our faith community does a whole lot already. But we as a community need to do a little bit more, and probably there are nonprofit and faith community groups that are better equipped to handle that than Metro government would be, especially with the budgetary and staffing constraints that we have. So based on my experience as a district council member trying to work with staff with the sort of late planning that happened with emergency overflow shelters in the past, I appreciate the work of Councilmember Bradford in prioritizing getting this done earlier in the year than we have, and I support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Toombs.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to piggyback on the comments from Councilman Bradford. I had the opportunity to sit in on the Health and Hospitals Committee meeting where Social Services was present, and they applauded Councilman Bradford for taking the lead on this bill. They were particularly happy that it was broad enough where it wouldn't cause an undue burden on them, but having that deadline in the bill would help provide some structure around the process of coming up with a plan and will make it easier on staff to gather all the information that they need so they can have a plan together in a more timely fashion.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Parker?
Thank you, Pro Tem. This is a question for Director Cooper. So in the Affordable Housing Committee, we were asked to explore the possibility of doing an RFP for homeless shelter services, possibly before the upcoming year. Would anything in this bill preclude us from doing so, or would this be compatible with looking at that over the next few months?
The ordinance just requires that a plan be provided. There's nothing that would prevent Metro from also engaging in a procurement process for some kind of operation of a shelter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Hurt?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I just wanted to stand as Chair of Health and Hospitals. The sentiments that my colleagues have expressed is exactly the reason why Health and Hospitals was for this. We actually saw that the research that had been done was to help strengthen what it is that that needs to be done in order to have something. You know, when I was running for this office again, the one thing I talked about was I wanted to make sure that my public service had some legislative power. And I think that's what this does, is give the legislative power to the public service work that people have done, like Councilman O'Connell. So we thank them and the Homeless Commission for everything that they're doing, but having this written document, this legislation, I think is going to strengthen it and make it possible for the government to stand behind it and do something for the betterment of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Taylor?
Yes, I would like to go on record as abstaining from this vote, please.
It is so noted. Thank you, Councilmember Taylor. Seeing no one else in the queue, wait, all right, seeing no one else in the queue, Councilmember Bradford has moved for approval. It is probably seconded. I guess we'll have to do a roll call vote since we're going to have no votes here on third reading. Is that the machine vote?
Ask the clerk to open the machine.
Oh, Madam Clerk, would you please open the machines? Thank you. I believe everyone has voted. Madam Clerk, please close the machines and take the vote. Motion passes. BL 2019-77, Council Members Mendez, Welsh, and others. An ordinance amending Chapter 5.04 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to require disclosure of full cost itemizations prior to submission of capital expenditure authorization legislation to the Metropolitan Council. Councilmember Mendez.
All committee reports are in. I'd like to move approval with a brief explanation.
I have a motion. It's properly seconded. Back to Councilmember Mendez.
So this is the bill that will accomplish both getting itemized list attached to the capital spending plan, as well as require that substantial projects of greater than $5 million in value have to be fully priced out before they make it into the capital spending plan. This is one of our early reform items for this council. With that, renew the motion to approve.
Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. I wanted to ask if we had, and I apologize that the analysis isn't on here, did we have an indication in the last capital spending plan that we passed how many items would have fallen under this category?
Councilmember Mendez, do you want to take that?
I can address that generally. to answer the question directly, I can't give a blow-by-blow of how many. I will say that both the finance department and I looked back together over the last 4 capital spending plans going back to 2013 to make sure that we weren't having either too wide a net or too narrow a net, and this is where we ended up with by agreement.
Just a quick follow-up question. So the 5 million, what I'm hearing is the council member saying the 5 million number they came to was a result of that discussion and research. Okay, thanks. That helps. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion, and it is properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you adopt. BL 2019-80, Councilmember Hauser, Mendez, and others. An ordinance authorizing the granting of 2 permanent easements to Harpeth Valley Utilities District of Davidson and Williamson Counties, Tennessee, on certain property owned by the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Councilmember Hauser.
Thank you. As you see, all the committee reports have approved this. This is basically the sewer and water lines that need to be expanded in the Bellevue area, which is served by the Harpeth Valley Utilities, and I ask that we approve this motion.
We have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing no one in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you adopt. BL 2019-81, Councilmembers Withers, Murphy, and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public sanitary sewer main and easements and to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrant assembly, and easements for properties located at 1111 Gallatin Avenue and 1100B Greenwood Avenue. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. With all committee reports in, I move approval.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing no one in the queue, all in favor? Against? You adopt. BL 2019-82, Councilmember Hager, Murphy, and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water main and to accept new water main for 5 properties located on Hermitage Street and Center Street. Councilmember Hager.
All committee reports are in. Move for approval, please.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? You adopt. BL 2019-83, Councilmember Hancock, Murphy, and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept a new public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties located at 1020C Old Hickory Boulevard unnumbered, and New Providence Pass unnumbered. Councilmember Hancock.
Move for approval.
All committee reports are in. I have a motion.
Yeah.
It is properly seconded. Seeing no one in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you adopt. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2019-84. Sorry?
I'm just going to remain standing for the next one.
Oh, thank you so much. Absolutely. All right. BL 2019-84, Hancock, Murphy, and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties located at 1020C Old Hickory Boulevard and New Providence Pass unnumbered. Councilmember Hancock.
As committee reports are in, I'd like to move for approval, please.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing no one in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you adopt. Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gamble, Murphy, and Henderson, BL 2019-88, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties located at 3810 and 3825 Whites Creek Pike and Whites Creek Pike unnumbered. Councilmember Gamble.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. With all committee reports in, I move for approval.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. Seeing no one in the queue, all in favor? Against? You adopt. And finally, BL 2019-94, Councilmember O'Connell, an ordinance to provide for the designation of public property within specified areas of downtown Nashville as a temporary special event zone during the time period beginning at 9:00 p.m. on December 30th, 2019, and ending at 6 a.m. on January 1st, 2020, relative to the use of these areas in conjunction with the 2019 New Year's Eve celebration and related activities and events. Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. President. What are you doing New Year's Eve? I'd like to move approval.
I have a motion. It is properly seconded. All reports are in. Seeing no one in the queue, all in favor? Against? And you approve. Seeing no other business before this body and no one else in the queue, do I have a motion to adjourn? Seconded? We are adjourned.
And so the council has concluded a business meeting tonight that was a little less than 2 hours. Of the 6 sessions this council has had so far, this is by far the shortest one, although most of the other ones have been fairly short compared to what went on in the previous councils. This was the last council meeting of this year and the last council meeting, it was pointed out, of this decade. A couple of highlights from tonight. The council approved a resolution 2019-130. It designates or appropriates about $7.6 million out of a fund balance for the schools to provide a 3% cost of living adjustment for Metro teachers and for staff. This was proposed by former Mayor David Briley during the summer mayoral election. Then candidate John Cooper criticized it. Mayor Cooper did find the money to do that and is supporting going ahead. There were some concern from some council members about the fact that this was reserve funds, one-time money, and that's one of the reasons Metro has gotten into some of the problems it's got with budgets. But at this point, the council went ahead and approved it, feeling the teachers needed the money, they'd go ahead and do it, and it supposedly work out the rest of the money because they'll have to have double this amount to fully fund the pay raise coming up in the next budget, which comes up next spring. Council also approved on second reading a bill that would require changing stations in buildings with private restrooms. It does not require retrofitting of any current restrooms. However, there was some concern by some council members about this creating a business, particularly for adults-only establishments, those who are 21 and up, who would likely have people who need to have their diapers changed there. So we'll see what happens with that. There were a few no votes when it passed tonight. Those were not recorded, but they may well be on third reading when this bill comes up again in 3 weeks. Also tonight, the council approved several bills that would strengthen its oversight, one requiring a number of reports throughout the year from the Metro Water Sewer Department. This in light of the multi-year program that the council approved to increase the rates for water and sewer to see how that goes forward, and they want to have some more information on that. Also, they want to have an ordinance on third reading that would require a more fuller authorization or itemization of what capital projects are going to cost. There's been some problems with some of those coming up with actual costs that were approved by the council that didn't turn out to be exactly what they needed to be when this was actually done. Also, the council, by a vote of 31-2 with 2 abstentions, 31 for, 2 against, 2 abstentions, they approved a bill that's going to require each year by May 31st for the Social Services Department to submit a cold weather plan for the city to make sure we have an overflow shelter ready to do that. There was some concern by Councilman O'Connell in particular that this was going to cause additional staff work and other problems, but the council feels like they need to go ahead, and there seemed to be some difference what they're hearing from the social services community and from the mayor's office about this, but the mayor's office seemed to be pretty strongly behind this, and this bill is going to go ahead and move forward. The council also will consider filling 2 vacancies coming up in the Oversight Board. These are 2 vacancies that were people that were serving 1-year terms, so their terms are about to expire. They could be renominated for this. The council is going to go through a process to see who is nominated and who they want to select. Those will come up. They have to be, the nominations must be put in by the next council meeting, which is on January 7th of 2020. Then on the 14th of January, the full council will look at filled out questionnaires coming in from people who've been nominated for this, and some of these have to be nominated from the community, some from the community organizations. If those questionnaires have been filled out correctly, then they'll be reviewed by the council's confirmations committee, and then the council will vote on the second meeting in January, on the 21st of January, to decide which of those 2 seats, who will be filling those 2 seats that will be vacant on the Community Oversight Board. Council also tonight passed a resolution honoring the late Bill Whitson, who was a longtime Metro Water Sewer Director, as well as Purchasing Director. He also was a longtime state official. He died recently at the age of 90. They also took a moment of silence for Carrie Gentry, a longtime civil rights and political icon in the Nashville community. By the way, her son, Howard Gentry, who's now the criminal court clerk, was once an at-large member of this body, the first African-American to serve, one of the first of 2 African-Americans to serve in this body, and the first African-American to ever serve as the vice mayor of this community. It's his mother who passed away, and the council observed a moment of silence for her passage tonight. There was some talk tonight about the Barnes Fund, which has, of course, had $5 million of its funds impounded for grants. There was some concern about that expressed by one of the people who spoke from the community about that tonight. She had a project she wanted to have moving forward, which she will not be able to do because the grant's not going to be funded. There was also a demonstration here tonight by the NOAA group wanting to see that changed and have that money given out. Mayor Cooper's office sent out a statement tonight basically saying they would like to be able to do that, but they don't have the money to do it. And at this point, they can't write a check for money they say they don't have. They're hopeful they can fund the Barnes Fund grants again for the rest of this year if additional money comes out later in the year. The council is now in recess through the holiday period. Next meeting will be the first Tuesday in the month of January. First meeting of the year 2020 will be on January 7th, 2020. We'll be here at that time to provide live coverage. Until then, good night from the council chambers.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.